Well, I want to wish everybody a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I can feel this fluttering in my chest because I want to say something, and it's unusual for me to say this in this group. I know that some of you have come to our program, the program that we had probably last year with Wajid from Pakistan, talking about our program, Focusing Initiatives International, with child laborers. And I just got an email on Friday that we're running short of money, that with the kids, we take them out of work. We started last year with about 50 kids, boys, and now it's grown to over 150 boys and girls. And we take them out of work for 2 hours a day, give them a hot meal, offers psychosocial support and focusing, so that to help especially focusing, dealing with their anger and anxiety. And then also offer literacy so that they can learn and to read and write, so eventually they can go back to school. But we created on Friday a GoFundMe because we don't have enough money to get through the year to feed them. And it's basically the only hot meal that they have a day. So I feel awkward saying this, but I'm going to put in the chat the link to the GoFundMe. And if you are able to make any donation, it would be appreciated. I'm always struck by folks who have the least seem to give the most. There's a program that we have, and a woman has had complications from brain surgery. And she also today wrote me asking how she can give even though she's on financial assistance. And then I think of other people who take our programs and just come every week and don't donate. So I'm just struck by the generosity of spirit that some of us carry. And just acknowledge that. In the few minutes that I sat with Baruch and Donna, Donna, I'm just so moved to be in your presence. And that gave me the courage, Baruch, to say something this morning, because I'm usually very shy to ask for help, even if it's for other people. But you just sort of said, go with it. And that's what I did. So welcome. And I'm just really looking forward to being in your presence in the next hour and a half. Thank you.
And I'm so thrilled to have the two of you. I appreciated what you gave us last time so much. And instead of really introducing you, well, first of all, I would like to say that this crossing of focusing and prayer has really taken hold in some powerful way. I keep hearing about, from all different places, about people finding your work and saying, oh my God, that's so powerful. That's so amazing. And the way that you frame prayer as a field rather than things that you say that you have memorized. Not that we can't, of course, enter that field through memorized prayers, but you've given us a whole different dimension that seems very, very, very powerful and important. And also, I just want to thank you that you were able to come in at this moment, sort of on short notice, to do your reflection, and we're very appreciative of that. I was asking Dana and Baruch how they would like to be introduced, and they will also introduce themselves. They're teaching, of course, focusing and the field of prayer. But then Baruch said that he is not only a teacher and a rabbi, but an artist, and was originally doing theater and movement. And I think that's fascinating. And Dana, you met Baruch studying, you were drawn to his work and studying with him at first. And Dana is a focusing coordinator, and both of you have just done so much And we're very, very pleased to have you.
Thank you so much, Lynn, and also Melinda. We see every time that we have an opportunity to share together and to pray together and to see, as you said, the crossing between Jen Lynn's world, we say, not just focusing, because a lot of his philosophy also touches, we find the field of prayer. So when we have an opportunity and we have a group that is curious and welcoming new experience and insights, it's like it can make our day. So it really, with pleasure, we are here. Did anyone was here the last time? Just to know, or it's the first time most of you that meets us? Okay, so for those of you that we meet for the first time, don't hesitate to ask. I mean, although we don't have a long time, but if you feel that there's something inside that if you won't ask or say, it will hold you back from sharing and experiencing, don't hesitate, because I know that it's a little, I would say, sensitive area, it may be. So don't hesitate to say, and then maybe what you will hear back will widen the perspective. So this is the invitation. And as Lynn said, when I met Baruch, I'm still, but so engaged in Jen Lynn's philosophy and focusing and TAE and all his work, and for about 20 years. And then I met Baruch with all, he will maybe speak a little bit, but his background in the Kabbalistic world and in the field of prayer as he understood it, and also the creative side. And it was like a magnet. It was such a strong resonance. I mean, it's like we spoke a monologue with two voices, each of us from our own understanding. It's had such an echo in the other side. So, and it strengthened both of us and both the practices and fields. So that's why we created what we call the Shakyo Institute, that is dedicated to teach this kind of work. And we created what we call POF, which is prayer-oriented focusing. And it's in a work ongoing. I mean, it's something that we are continuing to develop. And usually we start, even with focusers, we start with the field of prayer or the art of prayer, because we need to first understand what do we mean by the word prayer or prayer consciousness, in able to sense later how it can be integrated into focusing. So what we'll do today is a little bit exposure of the art of prayer. We also starting now a new course in that name. So if any of you wants to continue learning, there's like there is an opportunity right on time. So we have here about 1:40, a little bit time together, in which, I don't know, some 1 hour or so, we'll have a little bit of a introduction, maybe to the whole field, and then a presentation, and then we will we'll have experience together, and then we will go into the breakout room for about 20 minutes and come back with your sharings and questions. So this is the plan. Just want to say that if you don't have pen and paper, because we like to accompany our work with writing, and if those of you that are here and can open the cameras, it will be wonderful to see your faces. If it's possible, we always prefer that, to have a live interaction, if it's possible for you.
I always say that too. Even if you are eating your breakfast, we don't mind you eating your breakfast on the camera.
Yeah, I only will add that we feel We want to thank you that you invite us to be with you and to share the word or the field of prayer that we sense that is something very precious to the life of everyone. And he has something very, very in the crossing, and it's a kind of meeting between focusing and the field of prayer is something that can be very meaningful to each of us, beyond what is how we perceive ourselves, beyond our professional, beyond the field that we are working there. And it can open something that it's, if I will quote Jenny, to open the much more still that this is our nature, this is the depth of each of us.
So because a lot of you are new to this kind of work, we will do like a, I don't know how we said in English, a paraphrase of clearing a space of Jennings. We want to see what is between me and meeting prayer in a fresh way. Okay? So this is what we'll explore. Maybe some of you are just waited to this moment all your life, and there's nothing in the word prayer that creates anything, but I'm sure that even those of you who love prayer can encounter it freshly each time. So let's take a moment. You can sit back, maybe to take 1 or 2 deep breaths. We are already in interaction in one way or another. And we're taking a few moments to pause. To sense our whole self right now. To sense how this pause is already affecting how we are, even if in a slight manner. And now I will ask you slowly, and whatever comes to you, you can be with it. You can also open your eyes, write it down, and then come back again. So now we are inviting you to open ourselves to meet prayer freshly. So we can first sense inside what is between me and be completely open to the word prayer. And something may come. It could be just a feeling, or it can be something from your own biography. Or it can even be some knowledge about it. So something comes, we can give it a new name. How can we call it right now? And then we can put it aside, either mentally, or we can just write down what came on a paper. And then we can check again. What is between me, or even between me and having curiosity towards the field of prayer? And it doesn't need to be negative. It could be some perception, positive, so let's say perception, but I feel that the word prayer says more, so I put it aside. We invite you to encounter an enigmatic movement which received the name prayer. Can I be with it openly, or something comes, something holds back? Just sense it. And when you have it, you can give it a name or several words and write it down or put it aside. And you know, as always, when you put something aside, we don't throw it away. Each thing that we touch is much more intricate. We just for a while putting it near us. And then maybe once more, after we cleared in a way what we know or what is between us, and we just hear the word and sense what kind of resonance does it have for us, without any other public meanings or layers. Just this bare movement. In what way our body responds to it, if it does, of course. And slowly we can come back to our shared space. Of course, we could take for this single exercise the whole meeting, but we can come back in our own time, gently opening our eyes. And you can take one moment to write down what came to us. maybe Leonora, it's Leonora, if you're there, you're unmuted, so maybe some noise come from you. Thank you. So we would like to hear from few of you. We cannot hear from all of you. Some can write in the chat, but from few of you, what did you notice, or what did you find out?
I'm curious about the qualities that are different between the field of prayer and meditation. Because when I was sitting there, I was noticing a lot of similar qualities.
Okay. So one question is the different quality or maybe path of focusing. It's also focusing, but of prayer and meditation, and we will hold it. Maybe Baruch will make now shortly an introduction that may answer it. Okay.
Hi, I'm Kathy.
Hi.
There was a lot for me that came up with that question of what is in the way of me and prayer. And without kind of going into all of that, I was left with the question of what is prayer? Because there's a sense of what's in the way is really loaded with a particular outcome.
Yes. Thank you. This is a wonderful start. Yes, after we are putting what in the way, so what is it, right? Yeah, what is it if it's not all the things that I'm thinking that it is, or I was taught that it is, or it's the public understanding that it is? One of the reasons that we're doing it is because it's not easy to go against a very rooted theological public understanding, or even, it doesn't matter, even generally when he started when he want to speak about the different order that focusing is, it's not easy to speak about it because so many things we already assume about the body. So it is like that. We first of all need to put aside for a while, to suspend for a while what we generally think, and start to really let's say to sense, but it's not just sense, it's also to listen to something that different that is trying to be conveyed to us. Okay.
May I speak?
Yes, sure.
One problem that comes up for me is if I start to think about, may you be safe and free from harm and injury, then it brings up scary things, that these things can happen, rather than not thinking about it at all.
Okay. So this whole package together, those wording and what comes with it, we can put it aside for a while. We clear space for it. Later on, you can work with it. But now, all this package, we put it aside because what we want to introduce is something that may be a little bit different. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that all right if I?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, this was beautiful. Thank you so much. I've had a lot of experience in different ways doing, embodied presencing from a prayerful perspective. But for me, what you're bringing in with the focusing on, your question, what's in the way, that whole, really basic focusing move of, it reminds me, Lynn, of, this what you quote always, but where Jean would say, bring us your trouble. What troubles you about this? So for me, in aiming to be with the unconditioned, but to make the space for what's in the way, took me to another level. So really rich and counterintuitive, right? You think like, oh, we got to get to the prayerful place. But yeah, it's great. Thanks.
The word curiosity was important in it, and it brought to me, what is this thing that's so basically human, that for all time in every culture people have, it's so human to call out to, or to sink into this larger, what Jean would call the big system, or a psychoanalyst that I know calls it the whole great big everything, or the whole great big altogether everything else. I love that. Mystery. And for me, it I could sense that, I think like June, the feeling that being in contact with that means being in contact with things that feel too big. Like my brother is very ill now and dying, and it feels too big to hold that. And being in contact with the whole great big altogether everything else is like being in contact with that, and it shoots through my denial and my dissociation. But there's also the way in which that prayer place, being in contact with that whole big thing, cradles me and helps me to be in touch with things that feel too big to be in touch with. It also gives me a vehicle. It feels like it's there helping me somehow to be.
Yeah. So if I can speak, yes, I'm no longer religious, but I remember that yeah, when there were when there was a group of people praying, sometimes that was a bonding experience.
Mhm.
There was a meditative quality, like someone else mentioned. Thanks.
Yeah. Annecy, I don't know how to pronounce your name. You wanted to speak?
Thank you, Annecy. Yes, thanks. You know, Dana, when you started, I immediately went to this place of my father. My father passed away in 2005, but as a child, my father had a little altar. We're Latinos, Dominicans, so we had Catholicism mixed with a lot of folk traditions and indigenous traditions. So we would have the Virgin Mary, but we would have a little Buddha, and we would have a little offering of fruits and water and prayer, and everything had a meaning. You know, even the water was for, like, if the dead got thirsty. I said, okay. The light was to guide their way, and the flowers to scent their path. But I just remember that. I even wrote a poem. I write poetry. I wrote a poem about him and this altar that had so much meaning to me. So prayer has always had such a powerful like aspect of my life. And it doesn't have to be a prayer that someone wrote. It could be a prayer I create. It could be even nature has an aspect that's so prayerful. So I live in nature. We have a big property here, and I remember a tree was dying, and I just would either drum or pray or talk to it, and it's alive and well and so beautiful. I wish you could see it. So I really thank you so much for bringing me in contact again with how deep, you know, prayer is such a deep aspect of my life that is like just natural to to be in that presence of prayer. And I think Stuart mentioned the unconditioned mind and how there's moments when there's not even a prayer, there's just this feeling inside my soul that allows me to flow in the presence of those moments when you're connected to what Lynn said, everything that's everything that's everything. It doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it's like deeply powerful. And it feels like moments when prayer has been deeply present in my life. So
Thank you so much for sharing it. All what you said here is so rich. I mean, it's so rich. There's so much to it, and this exploration, just with what we have already, is so touching, I would say, but also very wise. Maybe we can continue, and other people can share later with more things that we'll do. So.
Hi, this is Sophie. Thank you for sharing this field of prayer and focusing. I got in touch with a way that might be my way of praying, that I've never seen this as such. I make little altars everywhere I go, and in my home and everywhere. The bathroom, the kitchen, everywhere. And with what I encounter in the world, a rock, a petal, objects that are there. And they have an intentional quality. I didn't call them prayer, but in a way it's a prayer to beauty and interconnection and presence and it's a way of sharing it in a non-verbal way, so which I appreciate. So that's kind of an insight that came today, but love to hear more about what is prayer. So thank you.
So we try to share something because it's not only that prayer is a very mysterious and deep field that every time we sense that we can only sense the edge. The reason why we sense it toward prayer, I think, because prayer is touching something of our nature that we only sense the edge of our nature. We only sense the edge because it's beyond content, beyond perception. And the thing that we want to share is something about prayer, because many times we feel the word prayer make any strong echo in us. And there are many situations that we sense that now we are in a prayer consciousness or we are in a prayer field. But prayer is also a model. It's not only situation or feelings, but it's a model that we can open it. We can evolve through it. There are steps that we can do in order to enter to this field, in order that from there, through certain steps, we can widen our, not only widen, almost transform, change the way that we perceive ourselves, that we understand ourselves, the way that we perceive and we understand creation, and even the way that we perceive and understand the revelation of the divine. Okay, so one thing is to give this word to echo the depth of ourselves. Another thing is to start to sense where we enter. For example, sometimes when we are in the field or there is certain states that we sense this quality of prayer. And another thing is how we can work with it. We can open it, we can develop it, we can live our life from this perspective. It's like a different kind of consciousness, it's a unique kind of consciousness, or that from there, through certain steps, we can perceive ourselves differently, we can perceive the world differently, we can even to continue to evolve our perception and about the revelation and what it means when we say the word divine, God, name it as you wish. So maybe now we see any, then you want to show and we will put a few introduction.
So it's process attention points, points that we want to start reflect on and maybe later focusing with. We usually, and of course, it's not what I mean. We usually, because some people may do it, but it's what we call in a usual way. Most of the people, we usually do not direct our attention to the source of our emergence, or to the different kind of order, if I use Jen Lynn's word, of our essence.
So one of the basic thing when we want to enter to the field of prayer is that we have to turn ourselves toward the source, not of God, of what usually we identify as I. There is a source from where what I perceive myself as an I emerges. And one of the first steps when we enter to the field of prayer, that we turn ourselves in a direct way, with an intimate way, with all our depth. We turn ourselves toward the first sensation from where I can sense what usually I call myself or the I. It's not that I turn, in the way that we want to share with you, it's not that I turn toward any definition, understanding of the divine. But the first thing is the first of all to turn usually what we call inward, but is not, we will see, is only a metaphor to say inward, is the place from where the I emerge.
And we do not have an essence that can be grasped or can be cognized.
One of the subtleness of to enter to this field is when you turn toward, I will use now the metaphor from where I emerged. There is something, any content, but there's something, but how I can, sometimes I need to develop an ability to be with it, to be with contact with it, or to contain it. Because many times, because people turned inside, the only thing that they met, because there is no direction, there is no a voice there, even though I sense that there is any rightness to turn toward, but there is there silent. And okay, so what I have to do there in this silence? So many times people say, okay, if there is a silent, I have to be with the silent. Many kinds of meditation direct us toward to be with the silent. But the question, maybe if I will wait there are more steps that can, more doors that can open.
Skipping this, you talked about it. We also do not know how to process the deep movement from which the layer that we name I emerges.
Again, I will say it in a very simple way. Many times, like we know, people have the very stable way that they sense I have an I. But the I, here I want to say in the prayer field, is something, it is part of a process that there is much more from where the I emerges, from where it emerges. And how I can understand, what is the process that through it, not that the I dissolve, but the I all the time, ongoing create, I participate in the creating of the I all the time. I have an I, but it's ongoing creation. I exist in the world, but it's ongoing creation. It's only the vessel, I can say, from where something else, the much more, any kind of, from different, and again, different order manifest himself through something, through a vessel, to something very subtle that we call I. And all the time, ongoing, we create it. So how we can do it? Usually we know that I have an I, or I am part of the infinite, but maybe the I is something that ongoing, I am participate to create it. And there is the process from where this I create all the time. I sense it, for example, now I speak, so I have a certain sensation of I, but this I is only the vessel that is not from where I'm talking now. So in the field of prayer, in the model of prayer, this is part of the thing that we have to learn.
The I is the carrying forward of the infinite or the unknown or the different order into life situations. The I is a carrying forward of the infinite.
And again, change model. I think the regular way that people perceive themselves, the regular way that I perceive myself in everyday life, I is like the source. I exist and I make interaction with other people. But like we know, interaction is first. There is the much more. There is the implicit. There is another different order from where we emerge. What we usually call the I in the field of prayer is only the sensation of the I. The self-understanding of the I is only the carrying forward of a process that we can say emerge from a different order. You can call it different order, you can call it the infinite, we can call it the unknown and the divine. Okay, so there is a model, okay, and through it I can start to, from there, okay, so how I now manage and perceive life, or I am part of the interaction, I make my interaction in life through this perception of myself.
And when we are able to enter into this prayer consciousness and perceive other people, not just myself, other people in the same way, this is what is meant by living a prayer model life.
part of the thing that I can say through when I enter to the prayer field, I start to succeed to contain my life, to live my life to this perspective of the model of prayer. It means that it's not only that I perceive myself like from the through the process that I described, but I start to look at every person in the world, and I see, I'm inviting, and I see, and the much more that this is his nature. This is the first thing that when I live my life through a model of prayer, every interaction, I open it, or I try to open it to this way of interaction. Every human being that I meet, I see. Okay? So maybe I will park and maybe we'll open it if you want to ask question about it or to want to give back.
To give back, of course, Jensen's turn, but to say in your own words what you understood. So if there's a precision that needs to be made, Baruch can do it. So what did you catch, or what question do you have?
I was most struck by the idea that the I is a carrying forward. It's not a thing. And we know that in focusing, but to be reminded of that, the mystery of the I.
And for me, the words co-creator came. We are co-creators with God. Yeah.
And Dana, for me, the prayer model life, what came to mind was this like open-hearted state of just being authentic and being in the qualities of compassion, of courage, of clarity, that open-hearted state.
When you say authentic, what do you mean by this word?
It reminded me of being like grounded in my truest self, to be connected to my wisest self within me. That, because I put in my notes, what is prayer model life for me? Like I wanted to take that more deeply. And then that just came up, like my heart being open, being aware, being courageous, being compassionate. And I feel that when I am in that state of being, I could speak from my true heart, my voice. My Zen teacher, she passed away. She used to say, whenever we were like, she'd say, speak from your heart, not from the mind, And the heart always feels like it's the truest, most authentic way of being.
Yes, but maybe I want to make distinction in order that we succeed to pass to what we want to say. The main thing is that in the way when I enter to the prayer model, I don't have any truth that I hold. I hold nothing. Not compassion, not truth.
Yeah.
I hold nothing because one thing, because who am I? This is like a wider, let's say it like it's a we call it prayer consciousness because it's, I will say it in different words. I think this is the way that I sense. Maybe it's right, but maybe it's wrong. Like James, when he speaks about to the ability to our period to relate to felt sense like an evolution, I sense that something from the very ancient time, it is the next step of evolution that we are like human beings, we will succeed to sense the process that all the time the eye is only carrying forward. This is a new ability. I sense it is a new ability of our generation, that we don't know yet it. We sense it, we have this sensation because it's part of this is our nature. It's beyond what we can perceive. But the model and the process can help us to open and to sense ourselves and to meet other people in a different way that we don't know yet. But we can invite each other to the, like I say, to the much more and the unknown.
Baruch, I got it, what you just said, okay? I did. Because that reminds me, I have a new Zen teacher, and it reminds me of a moment when I had a dream that I was the universe. And in the universe, it was pure nothingness. But I felt this profound love for everything. But I had no body, no eyes, I had nothing. I was just the universe. So then he gave me a koan. A koan is like a poem or a story that they give you, and you have to then solve it with the teacher. And it could take years, and it's taken me a while. I'm 99% there, but it has to do with what you just spoke about. When the poem is, the story is called Mu, which means nothing, nothing at all, nothing. So when you're in Mu, you're in that state where you are present to everything without attachment to nothing. And you could have those moments, and when you kind of separate from them, you know it because you're already in some concept or in something or in a need or a want or an attachment. But when you're in that flow, it's just an awareness of everything without that wanting. That's what I hear, Baruch, when you spoke again about prayer model.
Yeah. Maybe this opportunity because someone asked before, I don't remember who asked about the differences between Melinda about meditation and prayer. Maybe you know the word meditation and prayer, for sure there are so many kinds of meditation, and so the wise thing, well, you have to ask how you perceive what is meditation, and only then I can relate. But I want to say something is like a live edge that I sense. Generally, in meditation, people want to dissolve the I. In prayer, you want to participate to recreate the I. What is a different I? You participate, it connects to what we, in the ancient time, I can say this is the model of creation. It's not only to go to dissolve to the infinite, but from there to recreate, to be participant. This is the co-creation. I will say it in Hebrew. It means it was a shutaf b'maaseh bereshit. You become the partner in the creation of Genesis, of the beginning, all the time. And again, it's not an idea. It is a process that there are steps that we can through it to evolve our capacity. And I can say in my life that, and here now I say something, I want to share something personal. In my life, it happened that I saw that when I wanted to dissolve my I, it was only hide himself beyond the dissolve. And my I became stronger. And when I understood that I cannot dissolve my eye, I can only to understand that it's all the time, my eye is all the time the carrying forward of the unknown, of the who knows, of the divine, and it's something so holy, all this process, something so holy. You become so humble about it. And then something else, and each of us we are in the same nature. We don't have, we are all human. Then something else was transformed by understand what it means, I in creation. Okay, maybe I will park, Dana, because that we can practice, experience something.
Okay, so maybe just I'll show 2 quick quotation from Lynn,
Yeah.
and then we can, because there's so much that resonance, so there's so many paragraphs that we could take. I just share it quickly. Understand it. From the FOT, he says, when we meet someone's glance, someone is there looking back. Who looks back is not the person's traits or experiences, not the felt sense either. The person looking at you is none of the content. Content does not look at you. So the person in there is what Baruch spoke about the essence that we cannot grasp or cognize or make it into a content. And that's what is looking at you. He also speaks about, I don't know, probably you heard a little bit about Lynn's term implicit and explicit. Do we know them a little bit? Okay, yes, so, okay. So the implicit, the implying, that is all the time what wants, like in a way I would say what wants to be carried forward, but it's not yet explicit, it's not yet concrete, it's not yet stuff, let's say, or words. Or so implying is never equal to occurring. What happens is never equal to what was implied, to what was like there's a for a flower there may be an implying for the sun. In us there's many layers of implying, but what happens, the actual happening, it's not the content, as he said before. It's something what it cannot be grasped, it cannot be cognized, because every time it has content, it's not that any longer. Therefore, implying is not an occurring that has not yet occurred. How I perceive myself, as Baruch said, as Dana, it's a content, but it's not who I am. Okay, so in Jelin's very, I would say naturalist, very natural language, we can sense that the life that is happening is not equal to the explication that we have either in concepts or how someone looks or how he behaves. And this is one of the things that we want to experience now, is like, if we hold everything that was spoken, not just as who I am or what is this emergence, but to interact with others in that way. Because if it's something that is open to the infinite, it can be new all the time. It can reveal itself freshly. If I'm turning, as Baruch said in the beginning, if I'm turning to there, knowing that it's not yet occurred, it's implying it will be explicit, but is not yet. It's there's the creation in there. Anyway, now we have like 5 minutes or so, 7 minutes, and we really invite you to share your insight or questions or difficulties or something more that you would like to hear regarding everything that we said in this meeting and beyond.
My question is this something you can fail at?
Is this something we can follow, you mean?
Fail at? Like,
Fail it.
no, this is the third time I'm taking this class, because I saw you last time at Help for Helpers, and I went to one of your events. So this is the third time, and I feel like I did better in last term.
תגידי לי, לא הבנתי את השאלה, I will ask in Hebrew, one second.
Yeah, no, but you're saying that it's the third time. Just explain a little bit more to us.
No, well, last time and the first time, you said, and when you get there, you do nothing. And I love that because I didn't have to do anything. But this time, I had to do something. I had to get find the creation of the I, or I had to see the other person as like that or whatever. And I felt like, wow, it was a lot easier doing nothing.
Wonderful. So I'll say something first, and then Baruch, you will respond. I think the whole learning process that we design is meant for many steps for that. Like the first one is really doing nothing, but this is just what we call the first gate into deeper and deeper experiences that slowly helps in the things that we just wanted to throw out to taste, because we didn't have a lot of time at all. So it's because you ask it, I feel that you already sense something in it. You already have something in it, but it was really short time, and we didn't just focus with the live edge. But yes, we design steps to help it. To help a little slowly, but that is like a more structured way to answer.
The only thing that I can add, do nothing. It's very important step, because many times we have so many ideas, and we are not open ourselves really to the different order. Different order, like we explain, is not the same as the order the regular order or the way that we perceive the world. Is a very important step. And there is a lot to speak about it. It's something, it's not only to do nothing, it's to step by step during the process, you develop the ability, or you develop a kind of consciousness that know to perceive the process that happen when you do nothing. Because something happened, do nothing, it's something like tricky, because I do nothing, but in a different order, it's not, doesn't says that there is nothing. We do nothing, but the process of life is something so intricate, like we know, it's intricate and so deep. This is one thing. So then do nothing is only the opening, and then how to how to perceive what happened when I do nothing. And this is one step. And the second step, I think, this is a question of that maybe many people have different decision about it, or choice. They choose their life differently about it. We live in a world. We live in a creation. We cannot only do nothing. We cannot only to continue the same way, to only to fit ourselves to the world as it is now. And we can, I think we don't, it's not our nature, it's not the depths of our nature only to dissolve ourselves to the nothingness. And there is a way, but is it, I think this is the reason why I sense it like our opportunity. This it means what in a Kabbalistic scripture, they have a distinction between what we call humanity and what it's written in the Bible in the beginning, the image of God. In Hebrew, the name is Tselem Elohim. Image of God, the Tselem Elohim is something, it's a process. It is a process and it's something very intricate and very deep. And something so interesting. And in order to develop ourselves, not to be only a human, but to be the Tselem Elohim, to develop this ability to live our life through this ability, this is another step. So do nothing is something so deep, but there is much more. In the course that, and I invite you, all of you, to participate. Now we open this course again, the art of prayer. The main thing is to open the steps and to explore steps, and through it to explore our nature that is really unknown and is all the time, Al Janin says, more ordered and yet unfinished. And we are co-creator about it. So this is the course.
And also put our email if you have further questions, because really our time is up. And if you send something opened up, you want to ask more, you can write to this email address.
Thank you so much, Baruch and Dana. And maybe you could put the course information in the chat also. And we will do a recorded conversation that will be up on the YouTube channel and talk more about this. And you could also suggest what you would like us to talk about in the recorded conversation. And you could send the email to me as well as Dana and Baruch. And we'll talk more about it. And you can see that on the YouTube channel. Also ask you both to come back again next year and further our learning for this. So thank you so very much. And we're going to have a poem from Dorothy. And this seems like a very ironic thing to announce after this presentation. Next week, we're having a Halloween party. And everybody is invited to come, bring your friends. Hope you wear a costume, and we're going to explore the characters we play in our lives. And I would ask those who are organizing the Halloween party to just stay here for a few minutes to check in with me, and we will see you next week for that celebration. And what you just said, Baruch, just now, we'll take also as a little piece, and also take some of the other things as little pieces and put them up also on the YouTube channel, so that we can take little bits of things and be able to focus on them. So thank you very, very much. And we're ready for Dorothy's poem.
Dorothy, you're on mute. We don't hear you.
you. The poem today is an old favorite of mine that I'm sure many of you know, that can speak to all of us. It's Mary Oliver's poem, Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Thank you so much, Dorothy.